times, but scary times. This thing tried to kill me on several occasions. They were the wildest one-make series ever.
Quick cars, 3 point something seconds to 60.
It was actually an awesome series to be part of. I was very grateful to be there.
No, I can't afford one.
I'm Peter Stevens. I'm the person who designed the Jaguar XJR-15. It was a project that I did for Tom Walkinshaw, and Tom Walkinshaw ran TWR Racing. He ran the Jaguars that won Le Mans in 1988 and 1990, and he actually liked the idea of doing a road car. And we talked about it probably for 2 or 3 years. And suddenly the Jaguar thing made sense to him because of the racing he was doing and because of the fantastic engines that were available. And we did 52 of them, which was his plan. Always, he had a phrase, he said, I think you can sell 50 of anything, and I think the 51st is really hard work. But we in fact did 52 because we did the original prototype, which was called R9R, because when he hadn't told Jaguar, he couldn't call it a Jaguar. But there were people at Jaguar who were so excited about it that they said, call it a Jaguar, invent Jaguar Sport. So that's really how it happened. One of the things, and it was one of the things that came from the technology of the Le Mans winning cars, where the engineer of the Le Mans cars, Tony Southgate, was the first person to make a complete carbon fiber monocoque tub for his race cars, his Le Mans cars. And so Tom said, well, it's an obvious opportunity to bring that same technology to a car that customers can buy. So that car was the first production car ever that had a carbon fiber monocoque tub and carbon fiber and Kevlar body panels. I mean, although we wanted to base it on the Le Mans technology, the Le Mans cars were driven by race drivers who mostly were the size of jockeys, and the kind of person we might sell a car to wouldn't have been able to get in, and if they can't get in the car, they certainly won't buy it. So it was important to slightly enlarge it. But because we wanted the possibility of 2 seats, but there wasn't room, we've got a little more room inside, we got more headroom, a bit wider in the cockpit. But I made the seat was a twin seat, and because there wasn't room to do 2 seats with all the adjustment, that meant that your passenger had to agree where the driver wanted to put the seat. So if the driver was a littleish bloke, then he had to have small mates. And it was one of the kind of funny things, but it was all part of how we wanted to keep the weight down and also not lose the experience. So the gear change, unlike in ordinary road cars, which is in the middle, it was like a race car and it's just by the driver's knee. The ones where we thought that they would just be road cars, the gearbox was more user-friendly, that's for sure, but it was still required the commitment in changing gears that you need on a race car. The sound was very similar inside, obviously, because the way the engine is bolted directly to the car, so you get all that noise. And in fact, one of the fun things we did so that driver and passenger could communicate easy, there was a unique set of headphones and microphones connected to each other, which most of the cars here, the road ones, have still got that because the customers, even now, love it. So I wanted it to have, curiously enough, particularly those early Jaguars, and the road-going version of the D-Type, I wanted it to have that simplicity of the form, not copy it in any way, and not load it with little trendy details, which is why, the XKSS, although I didn't have a picture in front of me, I had in my mind that we wanted a really simple shape which would last, which is now why when you see them, it would be very hard to place it in time. And when I see it here in the company it's in at Goodwood, I think that actually works quite well.
Well, when I got the call, obviously I saw a picture of the vehicle that we're all going to be racing, and it was like, wow, that looks really cool. And I think all the drivers were so looking forward to the first test, which I think was at Silverstone. Well, jumping into the car for the first time, it was really cool actually, from memory, because it was such a big new story. Not just that the car was, you know, stunningly beautiful at the time, you know, it had a carbon monocoque, it looked very advanced at the time. But also that the three races, the Monaco, Silverstone Grand Prix and Spa, and of course the winner of Spa made $1 million. So that in itself just created so much buzz and excitement about what was going on at the time with the XJR-15s.
I think I had an advantage in driving the XJR-15 because I used to drive a lot in touring cars and GT cars, which have not a lot of downforce. So, and most of the drivers driving in that championship were used to do in Formula One, in Group C, with a lot of downforce. So they had to change down in their expectation about the grip. Our first race was in Monaco, and I got beaten by Derek Warwick. I was on in the first row, and we diced a little bit, but then I nearly half spun, and I got only fourth. So I went back to our truck to change my things, and I met Derek, who came back, champagne round with his overall to change him. And he told me, look, Armin, on Monday I'll go with my new XJS, because the first prize for this race was an XJS. With my girlfriend, I'll go around London with the open roof. And I thought, shit, he really revved me up. So then we had, the next race was in Silverstone. I was a little bit unlucky because my engine didn't go well. So I finished 7th, I think, but with a misfire and everything. But also Derek didn't do well. So, and then we had the last race in Spa. And well, obviously I won this race, and I never saw Derek in my mirror. So then exactly the same situation. I came back from the prize giving into our motorhome to change my overalls, and Derek came back because he had a big accident in one of the fast corners in Spa. So we were changing our things, and he said, "Oh, well done, Armin." And I said, "Look, Derek. On Monday, I'll order 10 XJS, and I give it to all my friends just to do a nice drive, but still having $500,000 on my bank account." So he was not very happy.
Well, obviously at the time, it was a fairly new championship, and everyone was excited to race at Monaco. And of course I finished second, which was a great result. And during that weekend, the TWR guy said, "Look, why don't you give us a call next week, and we'll give you a test in the XJR-14, which was so dominant. The Silk-Cut Jag was so dominant in '91. So I was like, yeah, great. So I rang them the next week, and guess what? They said, how would you like to drive full time for Jaguar in the World Sports Car Championship? So that series, that race, finishing second, propelled me into sports cars. So when I look at the car today, that's immediately what I think of more than anything else. Was that was the birth of my sports car career.
Well, I just came down through the tunnel when you walk up, and then the first thing I see was all the XJR-15 lined up under the shed. So it really impressed me, and I felt really happy to be in the center of all these cars, because I won the $1 million. First seeing it was like a big reunion with the car, and when I opened the door and I got in first time yesterday, my first feeling was that I had the smell which I had in my nose in the races since 30 years. That came back instantly. And then when I drove it, I just felt my last laps in Spa in the race, where I won, fortunately. So it was really nice to be reunited with the car yesterday.